I'll say the things that I like about it, and then I'll say the things that I don't like about it. So just to explain what it is a Scag V ride with a 36-inch deck. It's got a 20 horsepower Kawasaki FX engine, which is the top of the line commercial engine. I bought it with a mulch plate on it, and I took that off basically at the start of the growing season when stuff started to get thick and long, and I put a OCDC, or a discharge chute locker, on around, I'm going to say January, which is about mid-season, I guess, for us. So the things that I liked about it, I think the biggest advantage to a stand-on mower as opposed to a sit-down zero-turn is the stability you have on sides of hills. I have a few accounts where I have to be really careful on a sit-down zero-turn that they're off-camber sort of turns, if you like, going down hills and stuff, and I'm sure you're all aware that what happens when you're on a sit-down and it slide down the hill, and basically the only way to cut it properly is to go up the hill. With the V-Ride, I could hold that hill, no worries at all, and didn't have to be so concerned with side slopes. The other thing is it's a fairly small machine, so the manoeuvrability was really good. So, you know, and also it wasn't a huge machine on your trailer. It has a pretty small footprint. So those two things, like being really manoeuvrable and really, I guess, agile in and around trees, was something that I liked about it. The 20 horsepower engine's quite powerful too. So we did some really thick stuff, and yeah, handled it, you know, with ease most of the time. Okay, Hannah.
I liked that. I think it feels safer than sitting. I don't know. I got used to riding the Scag first before I rode a sit down, because we got it just as I started helping mow. I like that it's a bit faster, so it was good. Went faster. I don't know. It mowed grass.
Okay, what didn't you like about it?
I didn't like how the deck would keep sort of, it must have been loosening up or something, so it wasn't cutting evenly. It made the lawns look a bit shocking sometimes. You always had to be on it. I think if you went too fast over some lawns and you hit bumps, it would scalp the lawn, like the deck would sort of scalp the top of the lawns, and that's probably because it only had the two little wheels to stop the deck from scalping at the front, not sort of one on each side. That's about it, really. I didn't like it when we didn't have the quick chute on. It was a bit, you know, it just didn't finish the jobs properly. The grass would just fly everywhere, and the mulching kit didn't really work with most of our lawns because they got so thick. So it was either really struggling with the mulch plate on, or it was shooting grass everywhere because the grass was so long. So I think the quick chute really helped it, and I really rathered mowing with it when it had that. But with the Hustler, with the mulch kit on it, it didn't leave as much grass, or it cut it up a bit finer, so I think it looks, you know, had a better finish than the Scag. I think that's about it.
So she's pretty much spoken about everything that I would have said about what she didn't like about it. I think the main thing for me was we had a lot of trouble with the deck being aligned and square. It seemed, I don't know whether it would whether it didn't seem like the bolts would loosen off or something, but something wasn't quite right, and it would come out of alignment, and generally it was one side. You know, always keeping an eye on the tyre pressures and stuff was important as well. But it was really noticeable on some lawns that you know, when the deck would be out, and we'd have to stop and fix it up sort of on the spot. And it wasn't really hard to fix, but it was just a pain in the butt having to do it. And I think we had to do it more often than what you should. You know, I think it's sort of thing you should do just once a year, just to check it, you know, as in make sure everything's still square and stuff like that, and it shouldn't really move. But we were doing it, you know, quite often, probably once a month or something like that, and it sort of slowly, I guess it must slowly get out of alignment. But probably the most annoying thing with the deck was on side hill slopes, like Hannah was saying. I think because there's no anti-scalp wheels on the outside of the deck, the edges of the deck would sort of cut into the hill, obviously depending on what side the hill was on, but the deck would tend to want to cut into the hill and leave an uneven finish on a slope, which, as good as it was, as I said before, going across slopes and holding the hill, the finish on the sides of slopes was really poor, and you know, you had to be extra careful in situations like that, that you didn't sort of mess the lawn up too bad. And like she said, any sort of dip. I watched a video the other day by Top Notch Lawns, and he said what he said was that any sort of dip, your wheels would go in, that the deck wouldn't, it wouldn't necessarily float as well as it should, and would scalp and cut the lawn in a certain spot, depending on where the hole was. But so that was kind of frustrating, probably more so because of how fast it was. So the fastness of the machine, like the speed of the machine, wasn't really, it obviously helped, but I found on really nice lawns, nice flat lawns, you know, the finish would be great, and it'd be, you know, as good as you could ask for. But any time you got a little bit bumpy, the finish really deteriorated fast. There seemed to be no in between. It was either on a really nice lawn, it stayed really nice, on a rough lawn, and you know, you just couldn't seem to, you'd be scalping it and leaving heaps of marks. Would I get another stander? Yes, but I think circumstances would have to be different to what they are for me now. I think I just find that the bounciness of standing on the back of the machine on on rough lawns is not ideal, and I think a more stabilised system is better for me and my lawns. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's good, they're bad for everyone. I'm just saying they suit certain types of lawns, and I think if you've got really nice lawns, it can, you know, it can be a really great machine and do a really good job. But for what I do and the typical conditions that I tend to work in, not ideal. So overall, on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd give the engine 10 out of 10 as far as power and ease of serviceability. You know, the Kawasaki FX engine are really good. They're really, really strong and easy to maintain, and whatever else. The deck I'd give like 2 out of 10. Really disappointing, because there was a lot of wraps on the deck. But as I said, just for my situation, it wasn't the best deck because of how, you know, the undulations in the grounds that I work on. And an overall rating of probably 6 out of 10. Good machine, but just not really what I was hoping for in a commercial unit. So that's my review of the Scag, guys. Feel feel free to comment and see if anyone else has felt the same thing. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in it, to be honest. But as I said, I probably was a little bit naive in how a standard runs and what they're good for and whatever, and sort of jumped into it without knowing enough or having enough experience on a stander. And you know, that's one of those things in business, you can't be sure of everything. You take a risk, and it didn't necessarily backfire though. I'm going to make another video soon about why I've done what I have. Alright, thanks guys.